Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Wednesday, May the 22nd. I'm going to be covering the night slate for today's video. No early slate video, even though there is an early slate. Won't have a video on that. We'll just be looking at the 10-game night slate. On Yahoo, they're actually doing 11 games. There's a doubleheader today because that Cardinals-Royals game got postponed on Tuesday, so there's a doubleheader. Yahoo is including that game into their main slate. DraftKings is not. So I guess that's something to note if you do play on Yahoo. But like always, we'll look at the pitchers today. Start off at the top of the pitcher-player pool, work our way down. We'll talk about the options that I'm going to be considering. We'll look at different hitters. I like 3 hitters to go along with my 2 core pitchers. We'll talk about some stacks, and then towards the end of the video, we'll look at some BVP plays for those of you that are interested in BVP. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. But let's go ahead and start off at the top of the pitcher-player pool. Garrett Cole, most expensive option on DraftKings. He is $12K, very expensive. On Yahoo, Max Scherzer is actually the most expensive option. Scherzer is $61, Cole is $58, and then you have like DeGrom at $57. Looking at DraftKings pricing, Cole is $12K, Scherzer is $11.1, and DeGrom is $10.5. So just looking at these top 3 guys, I really like DeGrom on DraftKings when you factor in his price tag compared to the other guys. I think DeGrom has just as much upside as Garrett Cole, and on DraftKings where he's $1,500 cheaper, I really like DeGrom as a pivot away from Garrett Cole. With how expensive Garrett Cole is at $12K, I don't expect him to get a ton of ownership today because it's very hard to play him and still fit in some bats that you want. Whereas DeGrom, you're getting $1,500 savings. You're getting a guy that has just as much upside. DeGrom arguably might be the best pitcher in the league right now, even though he burned a lot of people, including myself, in that last start against the Marlins, where he gave up 6 runs, 9 hits, pitched 5 innings, 6 runs, 9 hits, only got 3 strikeouts, negative .2 DK points last start from DeGrom. I'm hoping people are going to shy away from him because he had a bad start in his last start. His price dropped a lot to $10.5 on DK. This isn't the best matchup with the Nationals because they are starting to get healthy. They have Trey Turner back, they have Juan Soto, they have Anthony Rendon, they have Eaton. But once you get past the top 4, Gerardo Parra, Victor Robles, Brian Dozier, Yan Gomes, and the pitcher, Max Scherzer, that 5 through 9 is an easy spot for DeGrom to rack up strikeouts. The top 4 is a bit tough, but the 5 through 9, DeGrom could absolutely mow down. So I really like him here at home. 3.2 implied run total for the Nationals. I think DeGrom has the upside, even though this Nationals team's starting to get healthy. It might not be a team that we normally want to pick on. DeGrom's not your average pitcher. He can go out there and mow down any lineup. So at $10.5 on DraftKings, where he's $1,500 cheaper than Cole and $600 cheaper than Scherzer, I think he's the best overall play on DK. But going over to Yahoo, that's a bit of a different story. Scherzer is 61, Cole is 58, DeGrom is 57. I think Garrett Cole at 58, where he's only $1 more than Jacob DeGrom, makes a lot of sense over on Yahoo. It's obviously a great spot for Garrett Cole. Facing a White Sox team that strikes out a ton versus right-handed pitching, they have a 3 implied run total right now as I'm recording this video, which is the lowest on the slate. Cole just has so much upside in this spot. I didn't play a ton of Justin Verlander on Tuesday night just because it was tough to fit him in, and that's probably why I'm not going to be playing a ton of Cole on DraftKings. But on Yahoo, their pricing's a bit softer. It's pretty easy to get Cole in, still get a pitcher you like, and then fit in some decent bats. So I really like going to Cole over on Yahoo. I think he's the best play over there when you look at the 3 top guys. Cole stands out to me the most over there on Yahoo. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the other pitchers on the slate that I'm going to be considering. So Max Fried's the next guy that I want to talk about, $8,500. I do really like Max Fried here against the Giants. It's a great matchup, great ballpark. Max Fried is on Yahoo is $41. I think he is a guy that you can actually pair with Garrett Cole and still fit in relatively decent bats. I'm going to be using Cole, Fried a lot on Yahoo. You're left with an average of $12 remaining per player, which isn't too bad. You can definitely work around that. So I like going to Fried a ton on Yahoo. I think on DraftKings in lineups where I don't pay up for the top guys, or maybe if I find like a cheap stack that I really like, and then I can get DeGrom and Fried together, I'll try and do that. But I'm sure there's going to be plenty of lineups on DK, especially in my expensive stacks where I have like Fried and Sabathia, who's a guy we'll talk about, or Fried and Daniel Norris, another guy we're going to mention. I really like going to Fried on both sides. I think he's a really good play in this mid-range. Next 2 guys in this lower mid-range I want to talk about, CC Sabathia against the Orioles, Daniel Norris against the Marlins. So Sabathia against the Orioles, I think, is a pretty good play here. This is an Orioles lineup that just is not very good, has some strikeouts in it. Only a 4.1 implied run total right now for the Orioles. I definitely like going to Sabathia here. I think he gets a lot of run support since the Yankees are going up against Dan Straley, and Dan Straley might be one of the worst pitchers in the league. 6.1 implied run total for the Yankees. They should easily be able to give Sabathia some run support. I think he makes for a great play on both sides. He's pretty cheap on Yahoo as well. He's $38. I would try and find the $3 and get up to Max Fried if you can, but Sabathia definitely in play on both sides. And the next guy I want to talk about is Daniel Norris. Daniel Norris is actually going to be my second core pitcher that I use to pair with DeGrom. I really like Daniel Norris on DK, where he's 6,900 at home against the Marlins. This is a Marlins team that we're just going to pick on all year with opposing pitchers, even opposing pitchers that aren't that good. Daniel Norris is not a good pitcher. I would say he's like average pitcher at best, but this Marlins lineup is just so bad that I think Daniel Norris can go out there and have some success against this Marlins team. He could go out there and go 6 innings with 6 strikeouts, maybe give up a run or two and get a win. Easily can give you 20-plus DraftKings points. Where he's 6,900 on DraftKings, he makes for a great pairing with DeGrom. You play those two guys together, you're still left with nearly 4,100 remaining per player, which you should easily be able to work around today. So really like going the DeGrom-Norris pairing on DraftKings. I think it makes a lot of sense. And then one more cheap guy I want to talk about, or maybe two cheap guys. Jesse Marja at home against the Braves, I think is in play. I had a decent amount of, I forgot what his name was, the pitcher for the Giants on Tuesday, Sean Anderson. It's just because it's such a good ballpark, great pitcher's park. Not the best matchup with the Braves. The Braves don't really strike out much. They're going to put the ball in play. But in that ballpark, you're not going to really have a ton of damage done against you in that park. Low total, as we usually always see in that ballpark, 3.4 implied run total for the Giants, only a 4.2 total for the Braves. Both pitchers in this game make some sense to me. Then Jose Urena against the Tigers, 6,200 I think is in play as a value option as well. Urena gets a matchup against a Tigers team that strikes out quite a bit versus right-handed pitching. They do have a 4.5 implied run total, which is a bit higher than I would like, but there's still just so many Ks in this lineup for Urena. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and get a ton of strikeouts, but this Tigers team just strikes out so much that even Urena could get some Ks against them. He's so cheap on DK that he makes for a pretty good pairing, a pretty good cheap option pairing with one of your expensive plays. Like if you're trying to get up to Garrett Cole, you're probably going to be forced to go down here to like these 7K and 6K guys, because if you look anywhere else, or if you try and pay up anywhere else, you're really not going to have salary for bats. So Urena is the last value play I want to talk about, 6,200. He makes some sense in my opinion. But I think those are all the pitchers that I feel like I'm going to be targeting today. Let's go ahead and talk about some bats. There's one spot that I really want to hit on. This Cubs game between the Cubs and Phillies. Once we get totals for this game, I'm going to be very intrigued to see what the totals are. Right now it's expected to be 76 degrees with 46% humidity and winds blowing out to center at 15 miles per hour. We've seen a lot during the summer last year when the wind is blowing out in Wrigley Field, and when it's hot in Wrigley Field, the ball just seems to fly. So I think both teams are stackable here. Even against a guy like Cole Hamels, who is a pretty decent pitcher, I think this Philly stack still makes a lot of sense, especially when you look at their prices, like Andrew McCutchen leading off at 4K. I absolutely love today. I think he's a great play in the outfield. I'm going to be playing him on both sides. He's cheap on Yahoo as well. He's only $13 over here. I think he makes a lot of sense on both sides. So McCutchen will be facing Cole Hamels, a lefty, who does struggle to righties, I should say. And McCutchen throughout his career has always been better versus left-handed pitching. There's just so many good righties in this Phillies lineup that can hit lefties well. McCutchen, Segura, Hoskins, Realmuto, even like Cesar Hernandez, Kingery, Franco are not the worst hitters. But the 1 through 5, that's where you're really looking to from the Phillies. And I really like them here in this Wrigley win game. I expect runs to be scored. Cole Hamels is a decent pitcher, but he is definitely a guy that you can beat up, that you can get to. He's not just a total ace that's just going to go out there and mow down every single team he faces. So I actually like a Philly stack today, and I hope they go overlooked because of like Cole Hamels and his name recognition. Phillies make a lot of sense for me. The next guy I want to talk about is Rhys Hoskins. He's also very cheap, just $4,100 on DraftKings. He's pretty cheap on Yahoo as well. He's at $16. So pretty much the same thing goes for him as it does for McCutchen. Hoskins' price tags dropped a lot along with McCutchen because the Phillies just as a team haven't been hitting the ball that well lately. But this is a great spot for them to get things going in a Wrigley win game with high temperatures. Expect to be pretty hot. Wind blowing out to center. Love Hoskins here at $4,100. Think he's a really good play. if you're stacking the Phillies, him and McCutchen make a ton of sense for me and are going to be the two guys that I really look to the most. And then for DraftKings, the third guy I want to talk about to fill out my DraftKings 5 is Gleyber Torres and the Yankees. I love the Yankees again. I stacked them up quite a bit on Tuesday. I'm going to be going right back to them on Wednesday versus Dan Straley. Right now, the Yankees do have the highest total on the slate at 6.1 runs. Dan Straley arguably has been one of the worst pitchers, if not the worst pitcher in the league this year. This Yankee stack looks very appealing to me today. LeMahieu, Hicks, Voit, Sanchez, Kendrys Morales is still dirt cheap. Gleyber Torres, these guys just really stand out to me. I think the Yankees are going to be a team I'm loading up on again. Only issue is that they're pretty expensive, but guys like Morales at $3,500, Clint Frazier at $4,300, even the top two guys like LeMahieu and Hicks at $4,700 make it not as hard to stack them. And there is good cheap pitching. Like there's 6K pitchers that I do like today. So I'm for sure going to have a ton of Yankee stacks. Really like Gleyber Torres again. Dude's just been hitting the ball so well. Facing a pitcher in Dan Straley who gives up home runs in bunches to righties. I think Torres is in a great spot, and I love him again on Wednesday. Going to be stacking up the Yankees quite a bit. But now to fill out my Yahoo core, since we did go to Cole and Fried on Yahoo, we do need to save some salary at the bat, so it's kind of hard to fit in Yankees bats with these two pitchers. So I'm going to be actually going to the other side of that Cubs game, to the Cubs side, looking to a guy like David Bote. Only $10 on Yahoo. He is very cheap. Phillies are going to be rolling out Cole Irvin today versus this Cubs lineup. Cole Irvin, not the worst pitcher, but definitely not a guy that I'm really scared to stack against, especially with this really good Cubs lineup. These prices for these Cubs are a little bit more than I would like. Like Albert Almora, even though he's leading off, is still up to $4,300 on DraftKings at least. Chris Bryant's $5,400. Baez at $5K I think might honestly be a little bit underpriced. But Contreras is $5,100. He's very expensive. But you do have David Bote as a value play who does stand out at $3,900. Projected at 6, Bote does have a lot of power versus lefties. With the wind blowing out, I expect Cubs to be able to put up runs here versus Irvin. So if you're stacking the Cubs, Bote makes a lot of sense as a cheap guy you could put in your stack. On DraftKings, I don't think he's as necessary because we went with a cheap guy like Daniel Norris. We don't need to go that or look for that much value. But I do like him a lot on Yahoo, where we kind of spent a lot at pitcher. So these are my 5 plays for Yahoo, and these are my 5 plays for DraftKings. Let's go ahead and talk about some stacks now before we end the video. So my favorite stack on the slate is the Yankees with a 6.1 implied run total versus Dan Straley. Just love the Yankees here. Hard to not like them. Straley just such a bad pitcher. But going to this Wrigley win game, I think Cubs and Phillies bats make a lot of sense, especially the Phillies on DraftKings with how cheap they are. I love stacking them with like expensive pitching. You can still fit in like DeGrom and Norris and get Phillies bats in there because they're so cheap. Cubs bats are not as cheap, but you can find value towards the bottom of the lineup if you're stacking the Cubs. Don't want to overlook the Astros either. Astros with a 5.6 implied run total versus Ivan Nova. Nova's a guy that I've stacked against all year. I'm going to be going to the Astros bats again. Going to be stacking against Nova again. Astros are pretty expensive, but when you get to like the 5 through 7, the 5 through 8 part of the lineup, you can find some value with Reddick at $4,400. Gurriel's only $3,900. He really stands out as a value play. But in lineups where I have like 2 cheap pitchers, I will definitely be loading up on Astros bats versus Nova. Then maybe some Twins bats versus Matt Harvey as well. Twins are very cheap. Most of them are on DraftKings at least. Sano's $3,700. Kepler's $4,100. Scope's $4,100. You can find some value in the Twins lineup, and I do like stacking against Matt Harvey whenever I can. So Twins as a cheap stack to go along with Phillies as a cheap stack. 2 teams I like if you're looking for value. But expensive teams, if I can fit them in, if I'm going with cheap pitchers, the expensive stacks I like are the Cubs, Astros, and the Yankees. Might even throw some Red Sox in there, but they'll be towards the bottom of my list. So that's it for stacks today. Let's go ahead and talk about some BVP now before we end the video. So there's about 10 BVP plays today. I'm just going to cover the ones that really stand out to me. So Kendrys Morales has hit Dan Straley well, 4 for 14 with 2 home runs. Andrew Benintendi, 4 for 15 with a home run off Aaron Sanchez. JBJ gone 5 for 17 with a home run off of Sanchez. JD Martinez also hit Sanchez well, 6 for 21 with a home run. Justin Smoke, 12 for 40 with 5 home runs off of Rick Porcello. So Justin Smoke really hit Porcello well. James McCann, 4 for 10 with a home run off of Garrett Cole. Josh Reddick, 5 for 16 with 2 home runs off of Von Nova. Lastly, Albert Pujols, 10 for 27 with the home run off Martin Perez. So those are all the BVP plays I got for today, guys. I think that is it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button down below. Before you get out of here, I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already, and if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace.